Hello, welcome back. It's time to talk about FNAF 3, my favorite one. That's going to be the most controversial thing I say in this video, isn't it? Anyway, let's not delay. Set 30 years after the events of the first game, FNAF 3 takes place inside of Fazbear Frights, a horror attraction meant to capitalize off of the tragedies and rumors surrounding Fazbear Entertainment years ago. After finding nothing but empty shells and old drawings, the people running this place finally find a real animatronic. And after a week of fending off this monster, the whole place goes up in flames. Now you'll have noticed that I didn't mention who we play as this time. Well, we're not given a name, but that doesn't mean we can't figure it out. Throughout the game, we can experience phantom animatronics, both from FNAF 1 and FNAF 2. So if our character is experiencing hallucinations of both, that means we were working at both locations before, and that can only mean one person. Well, technically two, because we still don't know which of these names is real, but it's Fritz Smith or Mike Schmidt. Which would add to my ongoing theory that this character is coming back to these locations for a reason. This is 30 years after FNAF 1. Clearly this isn't a coincidence anymore. So that's who we play as during this game. Now let's talk about the latest animatronic to join the roster, Springtrap. At the end of Night 5, we are shown that he's possessed by Purple Guy. But not only does the player find out that the purple guy is possessing Springtrap, but our character, Fritz/Mike, also figures it out. Over the course of the week, we are given audio training cassettes to listen to while we work. Through listening to these tapes, our character is finally able to put the pieces together on how the children went missing, and who exactly is in the suit. And once he realizes he's face to face with the killer, he sets the whole place on fire, hoping to end this monster once and for all. But because of the newspaper we receive at the end of the game, we know that Springtrap survives. This reveal that the purple guy is who we've been fending off this entire time is part of the reason why this is my favorite game in the series, because once you find out, you think back to the gameplay and how Springtrap was distracted and lured away by the sounds of children, how he's very good at hiding in most of the cameras. It makes replaying this game feel very eerie. There's another detail from the training cassettes that's worth pointing out. On the tapes, we discover that there are two Springlock suits, with Spring Bonnie obviously being one of them, and through one of the mini-games we see both Spring Bonnie and Golden Freddy on stage, implying that he is the second. And this is the clue we needed to figure out who the shadow animatronics from FNAF 2 are. Through the audio cassette tapes, we learned that two employees were killed inside of the Springlock suits.
After learning of an unfortunate incident at the sister location involving multiple and simultaneous spring lock failures, the company has deemed the suits temporarily unfit for employees.
But since the company knows about this, and therefore the bodies are removed, the souls of these two employees don't go on to possess the animatronics. But this dark remnant of their deaths persists. All they really can do is be a guide to the animatronics that can actually walk around. And since these spirits know about the safe rooms, they are able to guide the possessed animatronics to find the purple guy, hiding in the safe room. But hang on, this is all well and good, but wasn't it very much implied that the safe rooms were built onto Fazbear's the First? Yet the layout that we're walking around in is clearly Fazbear's the Third. Well, the newspaper that we received at the end of FNAF 2 did imply that we are in a smaller, cheaper location than before. And what could possibly be cheaper than reusing an old building that was, and I quote,
"That old restaurant was kind of left to rot for quite a while."
Fazbear's the First and Fazbear's the Third are the same building. A very cool reveal that most of us already knew thanks to game theory. However, there's a problem. The cassette tape that we listened to on night 6 tells us that the safe rooms were boarded up, with anything left in the room staying in the room, which explains why Springtrap wasn't found until 2023. But if that's the case, then the problem is how can the purple guy be trapped behind the walls and still be around during FNAF 2? Well, It's because the cassette tape that we listened to on night 6 isn't from Fazbear's the First, but was instead recorded at a later date before Fazbear's the Third. Which I know sounds super convenient, but trust me, I can prove it. It all comes down to a detail that everyone has ignored for years. When we finally get to see what's in the safe room, everybody's attention is obviously drawn to the ghosts, the purple guy, and the spring Bonnie suit. But for years, everyone has seemingly ignored the other major detail within this room. And no, I'm not talking about the subtle sound of rain that explained how the spring locks got shut. The detail that I'm referring to are these, the arcade machines. This detail's inclusion always puzzled me, but nobody in the theory space ever seemed to bring them up, so I didn't really think much of it. That was until I started to think about these games for my own theories. And by simply asking myself why this was here, it led me to discover exactly when the purple guy died. Ask yourselves this: when have we ever seen arcade machines in this series so far? Not in FNAF 1, not in FNAF 2. There is only one place that we find arcade machines: Fazbear Frights. And when we take a closer look at those arcade machines, we can see that the artwork on the casings shows the FNAF 1 versions of Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica. Which means that these arcade machines were meant for Fazbear's the Third. But since they were stored in the safe room, they were boarded up and never used, only to be discovered years later alongside Springtrap. And what all of this tells us is that the purple guy, he died shortly before Fazbear's the Third opened. What happened is that Fazbear Entertainment were in the process of renovating this building, moving the arcade machines to the safe room as temporary storage, as well as already moving the animatronics on stage. Which, now that I think about, would be a weird detail. Why would you leave animatronics behind in a building that's no longer being used? Unless this was a building that you were renovating and you were simply moving the animatronics back in. But how does this prove that the cassette we hear on night 6 was recorded at this point in time? Have a listen again to what Phone Guy says.
This is just to inform all employees that due to budget restrictions, the previously mentioned safe rooms are being sealed at most locations, including this one.
The reason why Phone Guy feels the need to clarify his statement by saying including this one is because this building is no longer in use. But the company doesn't care. They want every single safe room sealed up. When it can no longer be denied after the investigation during FNAF 2 that there was indeed a criminal working at Fazbear Entertainment that lured kids away using a yellow suit, in an effort to both cut costs and cut ties with that tragic past, the safe rooms are sealed up and in classic corporate fashion pretend like it never happened. But given the newspapers we read in FNAF 1, it's not enough. The tragic history linked with this place is just too much for anyone to forget, and Freddy's finally closes for good. But the souls of the children are still trapped. Even now, they can't pass on. While the good ending to this game may no longer be canon, it's still worth bringing up. At the end of the game, the spirits of the children manage to kill the purple guy. They get their revenge, but since we now know that this happens before FNAF 1, the souls will still go on to possess the animatronics. They're not at peace yet. What the good ending shows is that it's not revenge that will give these souls peace. Through a series of minigames, we deliver cake to the souls of the 5 missing children, a peace offering, before they are all reunited at a birthday party labeled Happiest Day. And when the final kid receives his peace offering, they all pass on peacefully. The lights are out in the masks. It's just too bad it's no longer canon. See you next week. Oh, and one final thing before I go. The books, they're still not canon, but I have a peace offering for everyone who was upset that I said that last time. The Fazbear Frights series? Well, the clue is in the name. Fazbear Frights, that's the name of this building. The stories in those books, they're just tall tales made up by these guys, likely just based on decades worth of rumors. That's why the details of these books are sometimes accurate, but for the most part, they are still way off. Bye.